Light up those cigars, Tennessee. Tops Alabama. It's college football smothered and covered. Instant reaction.
You are Locked On College Football, smothered and covered, with your host, Barrett Sallee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. It's an instant reaction show. College football smothered and covered. Of course, we are brought to you by FanDuel. $5 gets you $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. And we are here to break down everything that went down on Rocky Top. I tell you what, it was one of the sloppiest games I've seen in a very long time. But the 24-17 win for Tennessee shows that, you know what, Alabama has fallen off in a big, big way. But before we talk about the Tide, let's talk about the Vols. Look, is Nico a problem? Yeah, Nico's not necessarily a liability, but he's not the star that we thought he'd be. The defense, however, is the lifeblood of that team. 9 tackles for loss, shut down the rushing attack. It was a thing of beauty. If you're a Tennessee fan, you're looking at that game going, that's the team I like. That's the team I want to see. That's the team that we saw early in the season. The defense and running the damn ball. That's the Vols. I don't care what Nico did. He did enough to get the job done. That touchdown pass to win it late in the fourth quarter. He couldn't have gone out there and dropped it in a bucket any better than what he did. So, was it sloppy? Yeah, it was sloppy. We'll get to Alabama's lack of discipline in a little bit, but 11 penalties for 95 yards, that's not okay. That's not okay. Tennessee, to me, is still not a national championship caliber team because it hasn't figured out how to solve its weaknesses. Its weakness in part is Nico. Its weakness in part is the lack of discipline. But consider this. If Tennessee, look, I talked to Josh Heupel this summer. I had him on the show one-on-one. And he said, and I think this is true, you go back and look at his success both as a head coach and a coordinator. He told me that the lifeblood of his offense is running the football. And you saw that tonight. They're not playing off of that very well, but you know it's there. You know for Tennessee that Heupel is such an accomplished play caller and such an accomplished offensive mind that at some point they're going to find 4, 5, 6 things that Nico does well consistently and goes from there and builds off of that. So, Tennessee fans, smoke those cigars, enjoy it. 2 straight wins over the Crimson Tide in Neyland Stadium. That stadium and that city are going to go absolutely nuts. You deserve it. You're staying in the SEC championship race. Has not been the prettiest month or so, but it doesn't matter. You get the job done. You survive and advance, and they're advancing on the heels of that defense, which is nothing short of spectacular. Now, I thought in this game, the world sort of was reintroduced to Dylan Sampson with his $139 and 2 touchdowns. I was at Tech Notre Dame, so I was driving back late third. It took me 20 minutes to get back from Mercedes-Benz through the back roads, through the west side of Atlanta. And so I was listening to the game and the Tennessee announcers. I was in Tennessee broadcasting Sirius XM, and they were just waxing poetic about how great Dylan Sampson was and is. And, you know, I know that. You probably know that. A lot of people around college football, especially in the SEC, know that. But in this game, the world got to know just how good Dylan Sampson is. 2 more touchdowns today. It's 17 on the season. This guy should be in the Heisman Trophy race. Dylan Sampson should be in the Heisman Trophy race. He's the lifeblood, the heartbeat, the centerpiece of an offense that has gotten into the college football playoff race, even if it hasn't been pretty, even if it hasn't been sexy, doesn't matter. Dylan gets the job done. And so I'm glad that the world got to see that because he is that good. He is that good. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will talk about the Alabama side of things. And Alabama fans, you're not going to want to hear what I got to say. It's college football smothered and covered. And of course, we are powered by the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show brought to you by Hims. Hims is changing men's healthcare, providing you the best access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your own couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 90% off. That process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site from a medical provider will determine you the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packagings for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds and thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free trial today. Go to hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon, hims.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatments. These products are mentioned are chewable and compounded products which are not approved or verified for safety effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Okay, let's talk about Alabama. Alabama fans, you should be very concerned with Kalen DeBoer right now. This is over a month of sloppy, undisciplined, lazy, and I would say at times awful football, except for 2 quarters against Georgia. Alabama came in the second most penalized team in the SEC. They got popped for 15 penalties. Now, one of those was late. And that one, to me, is the one that really jumps out because the unsportsmanlike penalty that Kendrick Law was assessed for punching the Tennessee player, that should have been offsetting. Tennessee player punched right back really quick. But you can't do that. If you're Kendrick Law, you have to know that you have to stay disciplined, especially in that situation, especially when you're losing late, especially when you have to those yards are precious. You can't do that. But here's the thing, what really lost the game for the Alabama Crimson Tide, I wouldn't say what put the game away wasn't the interception late. Why the hell did Kalen DeBoer punt or go for it on 4th and 23 or whatever it was late in the game? He had 3 timeouts. Punt the ball. Punt the ball. You're not going to make a 4th and 23. You're just not going to do it. Punt the ball. Trust your defense. Use the timeouts. Get the ball back if you can. And see what you can do. And it goes to show, I'm correlating this back to something that I think needs to be discussed about the Kalen DeBoer era. It's not just that it's a lack of discipline by the players. To me, the lack of discipline goes all the way to the top. To me, it feels like Kalen DeBoer is in over his head. Now, that can change. There's no blueprint for replacing the greatest of all time. But you have to have some sort of understanding about what it takes to be not just a head coach at Alabama, but a head coach in the SEC in general. The microscope is on you at all times. the microscope is on your players at all times. It seems to me like I don't think Kalen DeBoer understands that he can't just get away with stuff like this. At Washington, you have superior athletes to, 80% of your opponents? Alabama does too, but the teams below Alabama are much closer. So you can't get away with being this lazy, this undisciplined, and expect to win in the SEC. It's just not reasonable. It's not realistic. And I think to me, it shows that he doesn't understand what he is. But the downfall of this Alabama team, and you folks know this, if you're an Alabama fan, you've seen it. You've seen it for a long, long time. It's been 3 years since Alabama has had a somewhat decent offensive line, despite the fact that they've had great individual players. The fact that it has persisted from the Saban era to the Kalen DeBoer era is shocking to me. And I don't even know if you can call it a systemic problem because the system changed. I don't understand it. You give up 9 tackles for loss, and a lot of those were in the first quarter, first half. I think 5 of them were within the first 20 minutes of the game. That happens at home, too. Look what happened to South Carolina against South Carolina last week. It happens every single week. So I think that when you call a team mid, right? The kids do that on X. You're talking about, you're kind of slighting a team that's supposed to be good, but they're really not, and they're mid. They're mid. They're a middle-of-the-road football team in the SEC. They're going to lose again. Might lose twice. They skate on thin ice every single game, it seems like, with the exception of Wisconsin. They had to fight and claw with USF. They had to fight and claw and really got outplayed by South Carolina. Obviously lost to Vandy in Tennessee. Blew a 28-point lead to Georgia, but still found a way to get it done. But still blew a 28-point lead. What's there to like about this Alabama team? Brian Williams, and that's about it. That's about it. So Alabama, the lack of discipline is very concerning. And I would say that, yeah, this is a referendum on Kalen DeBoer. I wrote this earlier this week on Outkick that the intimidation factor is gone. Yeah, Tennessee rushed the field. I wouldn't. Why are you rushing the field against Alabama now? There's no reason to. Tennessee's a better football team. Like, clearly a better football team. The shine, I think, is worn off Alabama. They're a pretty good football team in an SEC that has a lot of pretty good football teams and one great one, at least right now, because this is being recorded right as Texas and Georgia kick off. It's amazing how quickly the downfall happened. Not saying Kalen DeBoer is getting fired. I've said since he got hired that you get somewhat of a mulligan in year one to an extent, right? If you don't make the playoff, fine, as long as you don't suffer embarrassing losses. But they're suffering embarrassing losses and they're suffering embarrassing wins. So all of this together has really made it hard to trust Kalen DeBoer. Poor Jalen Milroe, man. He has turned into a little bit of a turnover machine. 2 more interceptions. That's 6 over the last 3 games, whatever it is. 6 of the last 4 games, I should say. It ain't all his fault. He's getting hit consistently. He's got dudes in his face. And even when he does get time, he's seeing ghosts. Wouldn't you see ghosts? There's usually a dude in his face, so why would you expect when you get a clean pocket that there's not? So I don't feel bad for Jalen Milroe, although the quarterback takes all the praise, but also gets too much of the blame. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this instant reaction show. It's college football smothered and covered. Of course, we are powered by the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. You can get a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, They have play-by-play, stats, all of that stuff right there on the same page where you place your bets. It's all there right for you on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You place your first $5 bet, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's a $5 bet. You get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, let's wrap up this instant reaction show. Reminder, you can become a college football smothered and covered insider. Just go to the text below. There's a link for my subtext group. You can get on board. You can text me specifically individually. I'll text you back insights from what I saw in each game. Send out some subtext from before the Notre Dame Georgia Tech game from on the field. So you can get involved there too. Just click the link below on the subtext group. Use promo code college. You'll get a first month for free. Thank you for making this your first listen, first watch every single day. For your second listen, for your second watch, go check out Spencer McLaughlin. Locked on College Football does a great job over there. We'll be back after the Texas-Georgia game to wrap up Week 8 in college football. Until then, have a great, great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.